Hello, this is Hellbent, aka Civ Reborn on YouTube, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create your own smart auto clicker. And what it does is it's going to only click on the page that we want it to. For example, something like this. So if we assign it to only click on this page, it's only going to click on this page. And it's also going to pause just by moving our cursor. So once we want it to stop clicking, all we have to do is just move our cursor and it stops. And then in order for it to restart, all we're going to do is move our cursor back inside of an imaginary box. And we'll go into that more in a few minutes. But in order for you to run this, you're going to need a copy of AutoHotkey and know how to run scripts. If you don't know how to get AutoHotkey, which is a free scripting software, or if you don't know how to run scripts yet, I'll link a video in the description that will show you everything that you need to do. It's only like a 4 or 5 minute video, and it's really easy. But if you don't know how to do it, it'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this first video is going to be creating this auto clicker that I just described without a graphical user interface. So we're just going to be basically using hotkeys to activate it and turn it off and set everything up. And in the description, I will have a link to another tutorial where I'm going to go through all the steps of actually adding a graphical user interface. And it'll end up looking something similar to this. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, I'll give you a brief little quick demo. So I've already gone ahead and set up an older version of this same script. We're going to be doing something a little bit different than this one, but pretty much exactly the same. And so I've already set its properties. So this yellow circle in the middle is where we're going to be clicking, and I'll change my color. And I'm going to see this little arrow I have here. I'm going to pause that. Okay, so now it's going to stay because I've assigned a tooltip to actually do a count of how many times it clicks. So this red box here is going to represent the invisible box that I spoke of. So basically, as soon as the auto clicker starts, it's going to start clicking in here. And then in order for us to stop it, all we have to do is move our cursor outside of that box. If we want it to start again, we just move it inside the box and it'll start clicking again. Likewise, like I said, it's only going to click on the page that we assign it. So if, for example, if I open up this window or this tab here, it's not going to click. No matter what, it's not going to click. It's only going to click if my cursor is inside of the imaginary box and the window that we have currently open is the right window. So I'll go ahead and start it. Okay, so you can see it's clicking, and if I move my cursor out, it stops. If I move my cursor back inside that box, it's going to start again here. Let me get another color. So I'll use red. Nah, let's use green. Okay, so if I move my cursor back inside that, it'll start clicking again. And if I move it out, let's get another color. If I move it inside the box, it'll start clicking. Move it out, it stops. Okay, so that's the demo, and we're going to just go right into coding now. But before I start coding, I'll give you a little hint. If you're not interested in creating this yourself, which is really the purpose of this video, the purpose of this video isn't to give you a copy of this, it's for you to actually create it yourself. But during the recording of this, I may or may not link you to a paste bin that I may or may not have already created with this already created for you. But you'll have to watch to find out. Okay, so with that done, I can go ahead and close this, and we will go ahead and start coding. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we're going to create a new file, and you can do this with a notepad, a blank notepad, or you can use a script editor like I have, but either works fine. As you can see, this is just a normal notepad. You can code in it, no problem. Okay, so the first thing, like I said, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new file, and I'm going to save this script as, I'm going to call it Smart Auto Clicker. And then at the end of its name, I'm going to put .ahk. I'm going to hit save, and that's it. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that way, even if I have a another version of it running previously, like for example while I'm testing I might want to run it over and over again. If I don't use this command, single instance and then force, it'll give me a dialog box every time I try to run it again. So this will just make sure that I don't get that dialog box every single time I run the script while I'm testing. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself some space, and I'm going to make some hotkeys. Now you can pick whatever hotkeys you want. This is all preference. What I would say is don't use Control C as a hotkey, don't use Control V as a hotkey, and don't use Control F as a hotkey. Other than that, whatever you want. For me, I'm going to use my own specific hotkeys, and you don't have to use the same ones I'm going to use. So I'm going to create a hotkey. I'm going to make it Control, or so this is Shift plus 6, and then I'm going to say R, which means I have to press Control plus R in order for this hotkey to work. And then I'm going to do ::, and then beside that I'm just going to leave a little note, and I'm going to say this is get all my click location info. So when I run this script, this is the button I'm going to press in order for me to get all the information to tell it where I want it to click and what page I want it to be on when it actually clicks. Okay, another hotkey is I'm going to do Control T or Shift 6 plus T, and then : and this hotkey is just going to be run my script. Run the auto clicker. I'm going to assign another one. I'm going to do Y, why not? And this one is going to be stop. Why am I doing that? Okay, this one's going to be stop the auto clicker. And obviously I'm not filling them in yet. I'm just coming up with my hotkeys to begin with. And then I'm going to fill them in as we go. And last but not least, I'm going to do Control plus Z. And this is going to pause. And these ones are really simple, so I can fill them in right away. And it's really simple. I press Control plus Z, and it pauses the script. And then next, I'm going to do Control plus X, and this is going to exit out of this app. So when I'm done running with the auto clicker, I just press Control X, and it's done. Okay, so with that out of the way, I guess I can reactivate my little tooltip, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see my cursor. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and fill in our hotkeys. Okay, so the first one we want to do is going to get our X and Y. So when we press this hotkey, we want it to get the location of our cursor at that moment. So it's going to have an X value and a Y value, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to say mouse and get position, and then I'm going to put a comma, and I'm going to create a variable that is assigned to the X and assigned to the Y. So I'm going to call this my target X. So that's the name of my X location variable. And then I'm going to do the same for a Y. So I'm going to do target. Make sure I'm spelling it right. Okay, target, and then Y. and then that's it for that. Also, when I press that hotkey, I want it to get the name of the window that we're currently on. So the command for that is win, and then we're going to say get title. So this is basically going to get the title of the window that we currently have open. And before we move too far forward, we're actually going to test what this is all doing. So that way you have a real sense of what we're doing. And we're going to name a variable for this. We're going to call this our target window. And then beside that, I have to do a comma, and there is a property. What in the win title area, we need to say what it is. So we're going to say A, and it means active window. So we're looking for the active window when we press this. Okay, next what we're going to do is we are going to print. Let's do a message box. We're going to do a message box, and our message box is just going to tell us what our X is, what our Y is, and what our target window is. So I'm going to surround all my variables in percentage signs, so that way they get displayed, and I'm just going to type them in. So target X, and then in between the next two, I'm going to do target underscore Y, and then last I'm going to have my target window. And that's it. So we can go ahead and save, and we will run, and we will now, if we press Control R, it'll tell us our X location, our Y location, and the current window that we have open. And we can do that on another window as well. So let's get this. So if I go over, I'm lagging. Okay, so I got a new thing open, so I'm going to do it again. I'm going to press Control R. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I have to exit and go back. What I forgot to do was actually put a return once we were done with that. So we're going to save it again, run it again, and we're going to go back over here. So if I go anywhere on this, I'm going to press Control R, and it tells me my X location that I was at, the Y location it was at, and also the name of the window. Right? Because we only want it to click when it's on the window that we want it to click. Okay, so now that that's done, we can actually get rid of this. We'll just comment it out because it doesn't really matter. We'll just leave it. We'll leave it in the script, but we'll just comment it out. And if we need to later on, we can check to make sure that there's no problems. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to add in our stop button. So all we're going to do here is we're going to create a variable, and we're just going to call this stop, and then we're going to do a colon equals, and we're going to say 1, and then we're going to do a return. Okay, so basically what we've done here is when our clicker is running, so once we've hit T and it's actually running, if at any point we want to actually stop the clicker, not just pause it, but actually stop it, without actually closing the whole program down, we're just going to press Control Y. That's going to change the value of a variable, and inside of this hotkey here, there's going to be places where we're actually going to check to see if the value of that variable has been changed to that value of 1. Okay, with that out of the way, we're actually going to set up the auto clicker now. And this part is going to get a little bit longer. Before I do that, let me see how long we're actually in. Okay, so we're 14 minutes in, so I'm going to stop it here, but I'll continue on in part 2 of this.